The 1980s, a decade gripped by Cold War tensions. The United States, under President Ronald Reagan, stood as a bulwark against communism. Reagan, a staunch anti-communist, believed in confronting the Soviet Union and its allies. This ideological battleground extended into the developing world, including Nicaragua. Nicaragua, under the Sandinista National Liberation Front, became a focal point of Reagan's foreign policy. The Sandinistas, having overthrown the US-backed Somoza dictatorship in 1979, were viewed by the Reagan administration as a dangerous foothold for Soviet influence. Reagan pledged to support the Contras, a rebel group seeking to overthrow the Sandinistas. This support would become entangled in secret dealings and legal restrictions known as the Iran-Contra Affair. Congress, wary of another Vietnam-like entanglement, passed the Boland amendments prohibiting US military aid to the Contras. The Reagan administration, however, remained committed to supporting the Contras, setting the stage for a clash between executive power and congressional oversight. At the same time, in Lebanon, American hostages held by Hezbollah militants with ties to Iran became a major political liability for the Reagan administration. Nicaragua, a nation scarred by dictatorship and poverty, became a Cold War proxy battleground. The Sandinista victory in 1979, initially celebrated, soon became a source of anxiety for the Reagan administration. The Sandinistas forged close ties with Cuba and the Soviet Union, alarming US policymakers. Reagan saw a communist threat in America's backyard and denounced the Sandinista government. Determined to roll back Soviet expansionism, Reagan supported the Contras. The Contras, a coalition of groups opposed to the Sandinistas, waged a brutal guerrilla war. However, their cause was controversial, marred by allegations of human rights abuses. Congress, reflecting public unease, moved to limit US involvement in Nicaragua. The Boland amendments explicitly prohibited US military aid to the Contras. These amendments placed the Reagan administration in a bind, forcing them to choose between defying Congress or abandoning the Contras. The administration embarked on a clandestine path, seeking alternative sources of funding and covert means of providing assistance. This determination to circumvent congressional restrictions led to a slippery slope of illegality and deceit. While the conflict in Nicaragua raged, another crisis gripped the United States, the Iran hostage crisis. In 1979, Iranian revolutionaries stormed the US embassy in Tehran, taking 52 Americans hostage. This act plunged US-Iran relations into a deep freeze and created a political nightmare for the Carter administration. The hostages became a constant source of national anguish and dominated headlines. Their release became an obsession for the incoming Reagan administration. Iran, under Ayatollah Khomeini, sought to exploit the crisis for political gain, needing weapons for its war with Iraq. The US had imposed a strict arms embargo on Iran, leaving them with limited options. A desperate plan took shape within the Reagan administration: leverage Iran's desperation for weapons to secure the release of the hostages. This plan led to secret arms deals with Iran, entangled with the conflict in Nicaragua, as the administration sought to use the profits to fund the Contras. In the corridors of power, a clandestine operation was born. The Reagan administration, driven by a desire to free the hostages and support the Contras, embarked on a dangerous gamble selling arms to Iran in exchange for the release of American hostages. This operation, shrouded in secrecy, would become a defining scandal of the Reagan presidency, the Iran-Contra Affair. Israel played a key role facilitating the initial arms shipments to Iran. The weapons, primarily anti-tank and anti-aircraft missiles, were desperately needed by Iran in its war with Iraq. The Reagan administration saw an opportunity to exploit Iran's vulnerability. The profits from these sales were secretly diverted to fund the Contras in Nicaragua. This diversion of funds, a clear violation of the Boland amendments, was orchestrated by a clandestine network of individuals. These individuals, driven by ideological conviction and personal ambition, became key players in the unfolding scandal. The operation, while initially successful in securing the release of some hostages, quickly spiraled out of control, leading to congressional hearings, criminal investigations, and a profound crisis of confidence in the Reagan administration. The Iran-Contra Affair was orchestrated by a cast of characters operating in the shadows, hidden from public scrutiny and congressional oversight. At the heart of the operation was Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, a National Security Council staffer. North, a decorated Vietnam War veteran, became the operation's point man, coordinating arms shipments and managing the flow of funds. National Security Advisor Robert McFarlane played a pivotal role in authorizing the arms sales to Iran. John Poindexter, McFarlane's successor, became deeply involved in its execution and authorized the destruction of documents as the scandal began to unravel. William Casey, the Director of Central Intelligence, provided crucial support, utilizing the CIA's clandestine capabilities. Caspar Weinberger, the Secretary of Defense, authorized the sale of weapons from U.S. stockpiles to Iran. These individuals, operating in secrecy, became the architects of a scandal that would shake the Reagan presidency to its core. Their actions, driven by ideological conviction, political expediency, and personal ambition, had far-reaching consequences for American foreign policy and the rule of law. The public's trust in their government was profoundly shaken by the revelations of the Iran-Contra Affair.